You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey friends, welcome back to the Tumbling Saber Podcast. It's episode 88. My name's Kyle.
I'm Corey.
All right, it's the launch of a brand new era as we forge ahead without James. We miss you, buddy, already.
And just moving forward, Kyle, I want you to know that, I've said it once before on Sith Disturbers, and I think I might have said it here as well, that James has kind of acted as a buffer between Kyle and I, being brothers and whatnot. Made it a little easier to bust chops and balls. So, Kyle, I'm glue, you're rubber. So when I call you a wiener, it's all good.
It's going to be like that, is it?
Every now and again. A little bit. A little
bit. Don't worry. I've got something under the up my sleeve here for you, too.
Oh, boy.
Don't worry about it. And I still have the keys to the editing suite, so... My will is my command.
As we've seen time and again.
No.
Wow.
That's not true.
Well, that was actually more James.
I've never edited a show to give myself the desired outcome.
No, just to make me look like a... or to point out the obvious, who knows.
Oh, I had some fun with your speed of plot thing the other day.
Yeah, I had a little trouble reaching the words for that one.
Meaning you had a lot of ease in reaching for the beer.
Hey, man.
Was that beer induced, or did you just lose your train of thought?
I was trying to find the word speed of plot, but it was obviously the beer didn't help there. I was on a mission that night.
Oh my god, that was pretty epic. Hey, how's your weekend?
That was good, man. I mean, we were together yesterday.
I know the answer to half of it. You spent several hours here.
Yeah, it was good. We saw this. There's this county town thing called Fireman's Day, and it's a 37-year annual thing. And I mean, it's almost like a rite of passage as a teenager, at least when we grew up. And it's just it's a big town thing. It's great, man. And the fireworks display was absolutely incredible. So the kids, they stayed up late, and they really, really enjoyed themselves. And the grandparents were there and whatnot. So yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, we made it a late night, and I'll tell you, I had a hard time shaking the cobwebs this morning. A lot of Motrin, a lot of Tylenol.
And the kids were up early, obviously.
Oh yeah. Well, one was, and one slept a little longer than usual.
Yeah, my guy, he was just, it was like kids get tired. He was almost hammed on the way home. He was just saying words to me, kind of. Sentences and words. Some of it made sense. A lot of it didn't. And
like his dad.
Yeah, kind of. Anyway, he just passed out again, I guess, much like his dad. And anyway, carried him in. And, dude, he didn't get up till close to 9 o'clock this morning.
Wow. Yeah, I think I had a few too many of the grapefruit vodka. A few too many.
Yeah. By the time I got home, it was almost too late to start drinking, but that didn't stop me.
When is it ever? Anyway, let's move ahead. We got some happy birthdays to get to here. First of all, we got young Mr. Leo, Connor's guy. Happy birthday, Leo. Hope you had a great birthday.
Yeah. He pushes the needle.
Connor, and I trust that, Connor, you took care of Leo and set him up with the appropriate amount of Star Wars goodness.
I agree.
And a happy birthday to the uber talented, as I referred to him on Twitter, Mr. Matt Keegan. And Bradley caught wind of this and sent this along for us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Matt Keegan. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Woo-hoo. Happy birthday to you. Woo-hoo. Happy birthday, Matthew Keegan. Happy birthday to you. Everybody, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Matthew Keegan. Happy birthday to you.
How about that? Bradley is turning into our Serenade Pro here.
Yeah,
Thanks,
seriously,
Bradley.
eh?
That was fantastic.
Yeah, happy birthday, Kigo. You're the man. I love you, brother.
Yeah, man. Hope you had a great day as well.
I think his birthday is actually now for us, but it's technically Monday, I think, and it's Monday for him because Kigo's lives in the future.
Well, as we record this, it is 10:30 exactly Eastern, Sunday night on what I don't. You know what? I'm on vacation, so I don't even know what the date is. I think it's August 13th right now. So for Mr. Matt Keegan at the moment, it is his birthday if it's a Monday, and it's about lunchtime for him. So maybe he's having a nice big fat sandwich for his birthday.
I hope so.
What's this fixation with sandwiches lately that we've seen in the TSW VIP group and all that?
I don't know. It was almost like lamp, but
Hey, don't talk about lamp. We love lamp.
yeah, we love lamp. I love lamp.
Anyway, we had the mother of all sandwiches, sandwich dinners. What, Thursday night?
Thursday night, and I proved you guys all wrong.
What, eating the smoked meat platter and then an extra sandwich?
Correct, sir.
Yeah, that's still
Impressive.
very disgusting.
Impressive. I think
Fine,
that's the
I'll
word
give
you're
it to you.
looking for.
It's impressive.
Most impressive.
I mispronounced as disgusting. It's impressive.
If James were here, he could have rearranged the words into something pretty crazy.
Yep, that is for sure. He'll don't worry. He'll let you know. Maybe he'll give you a limerick about your impressive / disgusting eating habits.
Yeah, I was pretty much cramming that shit in my face.
Oh, well, you were eating it out of spite at a certain point.
No, the last two bites were a little difficult, but who's gonna say no to that? It's like taste buds versus stomach, and when you quantify it all too, I think we had broken it down in the sense that it's technically, I mean, they're huge sandwiches, but you got to take massive bites kind of to get them down without them falling apart everywhere and it being a complete mess. So you're paying about almost $1.50, $2 a bite. Bubble bite. Bubble bite.
That's what the math works out to. That's for sure. Anyway, it's an open invitation. If anybody listening wants to come to Montreal, Quebec, I will buy you a smoked meat sandwich from Pete's Smoked Meat, the best smoked meat in the world.
Make it a jumbo.
Make it whatever you want. If somebody wants to come from wherever they are to have a smoked meat sandwich, they can have whatever they want.
And I'll buy the second one.
There you go. Also, congratulations to Troy from the Nerd Room, who tied the knot this weekend. And from all of us at the Tumbling Saber team, a high five and a fist bump to Troy. And all the best to the newlywed on their adventure together.
Couldn't agree with you more, man. I got your back, Troy. Troy the boy 87. Give him a follow.
Yeah, give him a follow as a wedding gift. That should cover it. That seems about fair. All right, so as I mentioned before, we forge into a new era at the Tumbling Saber, and in doing so, we are nervous and happy and proud to announce our Powerful Friends Patreon program. That's right. I've been sitting on this for months, literally for months. It was just this failure to launch type thing. Thursday night, Corey, you and James finally talked me into it, saying, just do it. Just go live already. Like, stop sitting on it. It's time
true.
to go live.
Like, what were you?
Yeah, it is. It's true. I just kept making reasons why I needed to wait for the perfect opportunity, and there is no perfect opportunity. So it's live now. I'm excited about it. We have so many more ideas for things we want to do, but we just don't have the bandwidth, i.e., the server space, and we'd like to just get costs covered, so that we can expand our programming and do some cool stuff. I mean, we've got, like I said, more shows, and we're going to do some giveaways. And
The giveaways are huge. Come on, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, they're going to be awesome.
I think I'm going to take it upon my responsibility to be the director of that department, where they're mostly going to be toy based, unless we'll think of outside the box every now and again. But I think for the first little bit, they're going to be of the 6-inch variety.
Oh my. Yeah. So anyway, if you want to learn more about that, I don't want to dwell too much on this, but you can go to tumblingsaber.com. At the top, you'll see the menu item for the Powerful Friends program, or you can hit the blog post for this episode of the podcast, and on the right, you will see the Patreon button. You can go to, or you can just skip right to the source. Go to patreon.com/tumblingsaber, and you'll see the options. We have a $2 and a $3 option. The benefits are the same for both. We're not into like what's the word? Stratifying?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, yeah, we're not. I'm not here to like create tiers of listeners. So whatever you think you can do, that's great. Everybody will get access to the same cool stuff. So with that, what is the cool stuff we're going to be doing? Well, if you enjoy the Sith Disturbers podcast, you're going to want to take part in this program, because that is going to be a supporter exclusive. So our powerful friends, as we're going to call them, if they choose to support us, will be among the only people. Will be the only people actually to hear Sith Disturbers. So it's not going to be an early release. It is an exclusive release, and that might be controversial. That might rub some people the wrong way, but I really feel like people who give good money to listen to us deserve something that is only for them. And so that would definitely include the giveaways, and that will include a newsletter, which Corey and I are going to put together, and it's going to be a lot of our ramblings and what's going on behind the scenes here. But as far as content goes, audio content, Sith Disturbers for sure is going to be, for now, the crown jewel of that program.
For now.
Oh no, we have more podcasts coming, and whichever one, like whatever we do, it'll either be early access or again exclusive access, because I want to spoil you guys and gals rotten to the extent that I can.
No, that's it. I mean, just with the toys alone. I mean, it's not like we're in it to make money. It's just breaking even, and the toys again puts us back in the hole, I would think. But
probably
that's
no
fine.
Doubt.
That's fine.
We already have. There's already lots of money in a box in my closet for giveaways.
Yeah, we did.
And of course, more stuff is coming.
Yeah, we did a little shopping spree this summer, and it was pretty awesome.
We did, and with Force Friday coming, we're probably going to snag some stuff then. And as far as Force Friday goes, that will be a Sith Disturbers will drop on Force Friday, and that will be the first one to go exclusively to our supporters. So that's going to be when you want to get involved in the program by. So again, tumblingsaber.com, and you can just hit the link at the top of the page, or just head over to Patreon and patreon.com/tumblingsaber. And we'll thank you in advance, and we'll thank you when you actually take us up on it.
Yeah, I was the guinea pig, and I gave it a try, and it was actually really, really, really simple. So, yeah, again, anything would be greatly, greatly appreciated on our end. Oh yeah.
I mean, we love talking Star Wars, and we have some cool ideas that we want to get off the ground in due time. So hopefully, some of our awesome community will take us up on it and help push us forward into this new era of the Tumbling Saber podcast. All right, so Corey, I don't want to talk about that anymore. As happy as I am to get it off the ground, but I want to talk about Star Wars.
Let's do it.
I've been sitting on some stuff here for a while. This actually came out today, but Dave Filoni was going to was toying with the idea of putting Starkiller, the Sam Witwer character from the Force Unleashed games, into Rebels as an Inquisitor. Like, that would have been pretty damn cool. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you would have had to have gotten together with Lucasfilm and whatever. Like, obviously, at one point, the name Starkiller was a thing, an homage that they wanted to pay to either George Lucas or the saga. They were kicking the can around, I guess, a bit. What's the best way to do this? Filoni threw his hat in the ring And yeah, I think they opted for the planet-sized system killer. But either way, it kind of just says, that they had their eye on the name, and at least they kind of somewhat gave it an homage.
Yeah, but as far as putting it into Rebels, I think that would have been cool, right? Like to put a video game character and lift them up into the canon, the animated canon at least. That would have been a pretty cool touch.
Well, even that character from video games itself, it like touches back on the original name from Luke Skywalker. It was Luke Starkiller, and all scripts pretty much like leading right up to the date, I think, of recording. Like they changed that last minute, if I'm not mistaken. Like it wasn't like a month's prior.
No,
thing.
I think you're right. I think that was a pretty late change. And Starkiller is a pretty dire name for the type of optimistic, idealistic character that Luke turned out to be. To call him Starkiller,
well,
doesn't fit.
If Starkiller was like an Inquisitor, he would have probably had to have been the Grand Inquisitor. Like you can't. It would, and at that point, it kind of would have been a really cool reveal. Like, oh, dude, it's Starkiller, Like, they kind of did that with the Grand Inquisitor in the sense that, when Kanan sees him in that vision one time and he's a Jedi Temple guard, really everything kind of comes full circle there and it's wrapped up nicely. But to have that would be a good reveal as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that would have been a cool thing to do. Maybe would have given Sam Witwer something else to do within Star Wars. In fact, I'm pretty sure that would have been the case. Anyway, it didn't happen. It's probably never going to happen. So we can put that to bed and move along. I just wanted to mention that quickly.
That's interesting.
Corey, do you subscribe to Netflix?
I don't. I had a really bad experience with Netflix once. And
what?
You've heard this story.
Have I?
Yeah.
How do you have a bad experience with Netflix?
Well, I guess, yeah, maybe so much it wasn't Netflix, but it was... Anyways, it was a really bad time in my life, and I was kind of, my phone wasn't paid... My phone is paid for by my company, and, I wasn't thinking, and wherever I was did not have internet. So I just Wi-Fi'd my laptop to my phone and downloaded Netflix, and, it was just... watching all kinds of movies.
You were streaming Netflix over like LTE networks.
Yeah, and anyway, my bill was like $700-800, so I didn't have to pay for it or whatever, but
Yeah, no, that'll do it. And I can understand why the powers that be at your former company might not have been too thrilled with that.
Yeah, they kind of asked me. They were like, "What happened? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I really couldn't think of it at first." And then it kind of clicked. I was like, well, I did watch some documentaries and some stuff.
Oh. Anyway, so Disney is pulling out of its Netflix deal.
I heard.
And I know there's some negotiating going on to maybe for Netflix to maybe keep its Star Wars and Marvel content, which would be pretty key as far as I'm concerned. But Bob Iger, and I guess on a call with investors, was talking about firing up their own subscription service. Another one. I don't know how you feel about all these different subscription services. In one way, I think competition and choice is good, and certainly the exclusive content that most of these networks or services generate, i.e., House of Cards, or I can't think of any off the top of my head, but every service seems to have like a flagship show or movie that they can hang their hat on and say, this is only ours. And like we're in this golden age of TV. Like the TV now is better than what's on the big screen, I would think. But I don't know. Would you, if Star Wars and Marvel went to a Disney subscription service, is that enough for you to pony up and pay for Disney?
I'd have to look at the programming. Really got to see a list of what they have planned. And again, for like what you said, from the moment it looks like Netflix is going to retain a lot of stuff for the moment, but it was only a matter of time, right? Like, Netflix has the Clone Wars, which when they were going to pull it, there was such rebuke or such protest from fans that they said, okay, we're keeping it, relax. But that being the case, like Disney is probably saying like, why aren't we making money off this? Like, granted, they probably are, but they're probably like, why aren't we making more money off this?
Yeah, why? Yeah, for them, they're like, why are we sharing this? We don't need to share any of this revenue. We have the means and the resources to build our own network. People will pay for it, and we get all the money. So business wise, it makes total sense. But like Bob Iger mentioned, they're even toying with the idea of doing a Star Wars specific service and a Marvel specific service. But he mentioned that they're keenly aware of spreading not only themselves but people like us, customers, fans, too thin. And I got to agree. Like, geez, guys, that's too much. No, I'm already a Netflix subscriber and I love it. But if they had a Disney service, I would be hard pressed not to pick it up. Just the kids love Disney, and if all my Star Wars stuff is there, if all the Marvel stuff is there, that makes that a pretty easy no-brainer as well. Unless I don't know, like, what would they have to do? Like, they would have to put exclusive content there, right?
I would have to think so. I mean, come on, to separate Marvel and Star Wars would really, really suck, because they know those fan bases are, for the most part, almost intertwined. I would say.
Oh, there's huge overlap.
Huge overlap. So, like, why? Again, at least they're aware of that, the overlap, and you can't really. I would hope they don't do that, because or if you sign up for the one Disney program, you get access to both of them or something. You can't be expected to pay the same fee twice for two different services from the same company. That would really, really, really basically be gouging, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it would be taking advantage of people's fandom.
Yeah, and it could turn people away, and I think it would. My personal opinion, it would. It would me, personally.
Well, let's say there's going to be a Star Wars animated series or a Star Wars live action series, but it's going to be only available on this Disney streaming service. Are you going to? I would assume at some point they would put it out on physical media as well, or on iTunes or whatnot. So you would eventually get to see it, but that might only be months later. And as podcasters, that's unacceptable. We need to have it up front, like at the time of release, so we can talk about it and enjoy it with everybody else. But I don't know. They would have to put, for me anyway, they would need to put exclusive content, and they would need to put like exclusive behind the scenes stuff for the production of the movies. Like, here's an interview with Mark Hamill. Here's an exclusive sneak peek at episode 9. Because this is coming in 2019, this service, which is going to be when episode 9 comes. So they could just tease fans and really pump this for Star Wars fans, saying, hey, look at all this exclusive episode 9 stuff we're throwing in here. That's a taste of what you're going to get. And I think, like moths to a flame, we'd probably go over there like Star Wars zombies and just buy the service and watch whatever they've got.
I think we would too, but they're walking a fine line in that regard. They don't, we're loyal fans, but at the same time, like, don't take advantage of that.
Well, I think that's exactly what Bob Iger is trying to figure out. How loyal are these people? How deep are their pockets for us? And if they determine that we'll pay for 2 or 3 different services, they'll do it.
But at the same time, like, once people are burned on something, like once people get a bad taste in their mouth, it's really hard to get them back afterward.
It is. Well, you know what? 1 month free. Ooh, okay. And then you realize you can't live without it, and then you stick around. That's what happened to me with Spotify, man.
If the programming's there, hey, the options, if it works for you, like whatever they have available and it's good stuff, then
the price has to be right too, right? Like,
exactly.
It can't be this $30 a month service. They can't do that. It's got to be somewhere in the realm of Netflix pricing, $10 a month, maybe $15 a month. But it's got to stop there. Anyway, I'm still not sure how I feel about this. I guess I'll see when they launch it what my final opinion would be and what their plans for it are. But yeah, that's coming, and everybody's doing a streaming service now. And it's tough to keep up. All right, Corey, how about we talk about Anthony Breznican's absolute, I don't know, what do you want to call this? Carpet bombing of Star Wars fandom late last week?
Something like that. It was, he's definitely got the inside track. We'll say that.
Well, last week was looking pretty thin on news. Like, we hit it all. the Netflix thing and Starkiller, which only came out today on Sunday. Or Saturday. Whatever. It was going to be a pretty thin news show, if not for this big napalming of Star Wars fandom that Breznican gave us. So what it was 8 stories from their upcoming The Last Jedi special. And man, oh man, we got some pretty cool stuff in there. Nothing plot-driven. And as far as spoilers go, I personally don't consider anything spoiler-related or anything that's in these things to be considered spoilers. This is all Lucasfilm sanctioned, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm good to go with it. If anybody listening is averse to talking about Episode 8 any deeper than, what was in the behind the scenes reel or what's the content of a trailer, if that's you, then you might want to just skip ahead for a while and come back for the Binary Sunset segment. Well,
and for the most part, I mean, I was talking to Kyle before the show. There is some real nuggets in here. Some of it spoilery in my opinion, but at the same time, it's nothing we haven't already discussed on this show. And if you listen to other Star Wars podcasts, then there's nothing there that hasn't been speculated or thought about.
Yeah, no, that's true. So we tend to ramble a lot. So if we ramble as much as we normally ramble on all 8 stories, we are going to be here for a long, long time. So we'll try not to be too verbose and drag this out too long. But the first story concerns Luke and Rey. And I guess I'll just preface all of this by saying, again, mild spoiler warnings in here. If you're sensitive to anything about The Last Jedi outside of official trailers, maybe you want to skip ahead. But in my opinion, there's nothing plot specific in here. All these stories, all they do is kind of set the table for the mindset of some of the major characters in these movies. So nothing I don't think anything really in here is going to ruin the movie for you by any stretch. It might confirm some things for you or lead you to speculate on others, but yeah, away we go. So Rey has found Luke, obviously, as we know at the end of The Force Awakens, and she's found a broken man, as they call him in the story, and one who wanted to stay lost, and he feels the same way about the lightsaber. So that's pretty cool. I mean, we weren't sure about what Luke was doing there. I mean, Han told us he was going to look for answers, but lately I've been rethinking that, wondering if he's taken this Barash vow. And I think the chances of that went a little bit up with this piece. Anything about this story jump out at you, Corey?
Yeah, just like you, I'm hoping he has not taken the Barash vow. There was an original purpose for him being on Act 2, Act 2 being or as Anthony Breznican said, Acto, which is was a bit odd to me, but
that's the way he calls it. I think that might be the way it's actually pronounced.
Yeah, makes sense.
Let's call it Acto from now on.
Acto it is. But him being there, I think there's a greater purpose to it all that's kind of still residing in his mind, why he stayed there for so long. But we've said it for so long that we think, I've said it anyway. I remember I met huge resistance from both you and James in the sense when I was like, I think Luke could be broken, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, everyone was like, no. No one wants to believe that, really. But we've gotten, the trailer really led us down that path. We were skeptical. I was kind of thinking that is the case. But at the same time, now it looks like it's confirmed. So it is a bit of a tough pill to swallow, to see that kid that stared off into the binary sunset being like a broken down, beaten man after everything that he's been through. You would think that he wanted the happy ending, but as they said in this article, it's not all about happy endings, right?
Yeah. No, Luke has his life has taken a turn for sure. Um, like I said, he's a broken man, which I don't know that I ever resisted against that. I mean, it seemed pretty obvious. The look on his face at the end of the Force Awakens. There's some reluctance there. There's definitely regret on his face.
Definitely, and after everything he's been through, I think that's a given. It's granted, but at the same time, I think fans are hoping for this mega supreme Jedi Luke that was just like all knowing on Act 2. Like I'm waiting for you here, and let's go kick some butt together. But no, he's a broken warrior, and it's gonna be hard to see him like that. And Rey as well is another interesting piece. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but Rey's has abandonment issues from her past, and that plays into this too. With like everyone's thus far has been really nice to her, so Luke being like, yeah, whatever, like I want nothing really to do with you is gonna probably be hard on her, and her being alone in the galaxy with the responsibility that she knows she has right now, or who she is, what's her role going forward. She knows she's important probably at this point, and the direction in her life she's kind of lost, and she comes here looking for answers. And I think I've said this many times before as well, that both of them need each other, not only to find the answer, but to build one another up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a quote here. I've made a note. The quote from the piece says, "As she tries to pick up her own pieces, she may find they fit together well with the remnants of Luke Skywalker. Working together, they may become whole again." And the way I interpret that is that Rey helps Luke heal and get over his regret, and in return, Luke is going to train Rey and help her become whatever it is she's destined to be.
Yeah, like I see Luke seeing not only the potential in her, but how she's different, how she's unique, how she's special in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he knows her, or knows who she is. Whether it's he's met her in the past and she doesn't remember, or he's had a vision of her, that I don't know. But I believe he knows exactly who she is.
That would be interesting, and I want that to happen as well. Like when you say that, it's like ooh, but I'm kind of almost leaning on the other side of the fence. That he figures out who she is as it goes along, like how important she is to the greater scheme of things.
That could be cool, no doubt there. He's watching her training and she pulls something off that he didn't expect that she'd do, and he goes, "Oh man, am I dealing with blank?"
Yeah,
that could be cool.
Yeah, definitely. For sure, at one point he's going to see the potential in her and be like, and not only that, her heart, she's got a good heart. She's a good person, Rey.
Yeah, despite a crappy upbringing or lack thereof, she's an absolute gem of a human being.
That always kind of made me a bit curious too. Like again, I haven't read much on her background and whatnot, like in the expanded universe novels yet. But I know there was only one in the lead up to The Force Awakens, I think. And
yeah, as much as The Force Awakens pulled on your heartstrings and made you feel for her in terms of her loneliness and her isolation, this book doubles down on that. It makes you feel so badly for her all over again.
Well, I'm just kind of wondering, like, where she gets the values. Are they embedded in her already from her childhood, or whatever it is? Like, how does she learn to get on being a child left and dumped there, like with this douchebag? Like how does Ankar Plutt instill value in her? Like how does she learn to read?
Still to be told. So one of the themes of the movie, according to Rian Johnson, is meeting your heroes and being careful of what to expect from your heroes. And Daisy Ridley said that Rey has placed huge expectations on Luke. She thought he was a myth and a legend. So I can only imagine what she's expecting as she's going to meet Luke. That he's going to join the fight, and he's going to help her become a Jedi.
Dude, she feels like he's gonna take a huge weight off her shoulders after everything that she had been through in The Force Awakens. Her whole journey to where she's going. She's like, okay, I'm finally gonna get some answers that I'm looking for and whatnot, and she just hits a wall.
Yeah. Well, it seems like she wants to pass the burden off to Luke, right? She probably still wants to go to Jakku, get back to her old life. I don't know if she really believes she can do that. But it's I think on the surface, if she was given an impulsive choice, she'd say, "Yeah, I'm just going to go back to Jakku. This is all too much for me. Here's your lightsaber. Ciao."
Oh no, I don't see it like that at all. I see the lightsaber handoff as a like here, like this is yours, but you know, like I think she's in it. She's in it to win it now. She's not going back to Jakku after what Maz told her.
Well, I think she's going to give in to her power and the responsibility that comes with that to steal a Spider-Man thing. But I think if she had her choice, if she could just snap her fingers and disappear, I think maybe she would. Because one of the quotes from the Breznican piece, it says she arrives on the island of Acto, the site of a primitive Jedi temple, not to become a hero herself, but to shove Skywalker back into the fight. So I don't know. I guess you could take that in a couple different ways. You could say that she wants to be a Jedi, but not this all-powerful hero, or what I was just suggesting: take your lightsaber. I'm out of here. I'm just passing along Leia's message.
No, she's bringing the fight, and she wants him to come.
But she doesn't want to be a hero herself. So how do you fold that part in?
Read the quote again.
She arrives on the island of Acto, site of a primitive Jedi temple, not to become a hero herself, but to shove Skywalker back into the fight. I think there's some room for interpretation in there, but not much. It doesn't sound like she wants to have a leading role in this fight, but we know she's going to be that lead at some point.
No,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
No, I get that too. But I don't see her as wanting to go back to Jakku. I see her wanting to expand her knowledge in the Jedi, but to be not to be at the helm. Like I said, like she's gonna have to. She's the one that's gonna build Luke back up. At the same time, it's not only like she's probably gonna, like I said this before, she's gonna teach him a thing or two too.
Well, yeah, I think the more powerful she gets, the more she'll understand the responsibility that she has to the fight, to the galaxy. And as much as her inside, she might want to just pull out and get out of there. I think her drive and her moral compass is such that she'll say, "I know these people need me. I have to put my powers to good use." What else do we have here? Oh, here's one that's a little bit fiery. Luke made a huge mistake in thinking that his nephew was the chosen one, so he invested everything he had in Kylo, much like Obi-Wan did with my character, Mark Hamill says. And he is betrayed with tragic consequences. Luke feels responsible for that. That's the primary obstacle he has to rejoining the world and his place in the Jedi hierarchy. It's that guilt, that feeling that it's his fault, that he didn't detect the darkness in him until it was too late. Corey, they said the chosen one. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's happened before, that his words, Mark Hamill has spoken inelegantly again. And I don't think that we're going back to chosen one stuff. I think what he meant is that he just feels that Kylo could have been the next guy, the one to lead the Jedi into the future, to rebuild the Order and follow Luke's lead. But instead, that's not the case. I don't think Kylo is any type of prophesized one.
I don't really think so either, to be honest. I don't think they're ever going to really touch on the prophecy again.
Huzzah! I'm in. Thank God.
But in the same right, I think they can still... I don't know how... They're not going to necessarily reference it, but I think Rey is really the know-all and tell-all of the Jedi in the long run. What she is, she technically will be... Let's take a new term. You know what Rey is, Kyle? She's not the chosen one. She's the balance.
She could be. I mean, it seems to be pointing in that direction. And whether it's that predictable and that easy for us to gauge this soon on, we'll see. But it seems to be all pointing that way. I mean, Luke says it in the trailer, right?
Well, she says it too. She's like, "What do you see?" She says she sees the light, the dark, and the balance.
Right. Yeah, you're right. So it's Rey that says the balance, and Luke says that there's so much more, or it's so much bigger.
Exactly. So we're going to get some huge force bombs dropped on us here, and I'm loving that. And in that regard, I think there's still room to interpret the prophecy, even though I don't think they're going to mention the prophecy. I think we as fans could interpret whatever it is they're telling us. We can see how it all works together as a whole now, and what was really going on from the onset of it all.
Well, I mean, this is one of the things, right? We've been told by numerous sources now that this movie is going to be full of ambiguity. Rian Johnson trusts that his audience can deal with subtlety, nuance, and ambiguity. So I think that might be one of the avenues to get into all this ambiguity.
Well, it's definitely a big debatable topic, and
for the most, is it ever?
But for the most part, let's save this for our first Sith Disturbers on the Patreon. But hey, man, I'm 100% on board with if they go down that road. 100%.
Well, I mean, we're going down with the ship, right? There's nothing I don't at this point. There's nothing that they can do to me anyway that would push me out of the franchise. I don't know if they can really do that. So I'm going to go down with this ship. So yeah, I mean, if you're going back there, I'm going with you. I don't have to like it, but I'll go. All right, let's leave Luke and Rey for a moment. Let's talk about the second story, primarily about Finn and Rose. And we saw Finn in The Force Awakens just looking to get away from the First Order. And apparently in this movie, he's going to wake up and he still wants to get away, which I found surprising. I thought that he would have woken up. I thought he would have woken up and said, all right, cracked his knuckles, roll up his sleeves. All right, let's get back at these guys. But instead, he still wants to run.
No, the quote I have written down for my first thing is, like, I thought he'd be 100% gung-ho. Like, what's going on? Like, I really was, not only do I not really like it that much, like, I'm surprised after everything that had happened, what he'd been through. I could see someone being confused, but come on, man. Like, the path has been laid in front of you, like, you got to go. I didn't want to see resistance from him in that regard.
You wanted to see him join the resistance.
Exactly.
Well, you know what I think we're seeing similar things. There's parallel themes here with Finn and Rey, where Rey's meeting her hero, and Rose is meeting Finn, who's now she's looking at Finn as some sort of hero now because of what the fight he's taken to the First Order. Oh, that's the guy that took on Kylo Ren.
Yeah, rumor and speculation have made him a legend.
Yeah, and this to me confirms that there's been some passage of time. And I think that passage of time occurred in The Force Awakens. We just didn't see it during Rey's voyage to Ahch-To. You need some time to build up this. Sorry?
What was it again? The speed of... speed of Falcon.
I refer you all to the last episode of Sith Disturbers. Yeah. Speed of plot. No, I mean... hell, I lost my train of thought. No, like Rose looks at Finn now as a hero, and it takes a while, at least in my mind, for somebody to build themselves up into this hero status. I don't think it happens overnight, really, does it?
Definitely not overnight, but when an entire star system is taken down and everything ensuing those events, they're under the microscope, and Finn was at the forefront of that. Oh, like Poe probably came back like, this is a cool dude, like we escaped together, and he went on this mission, he found this Jedi, then he took on Kylo Ren, got all messed up.
Yeah, no doubt. So anyway, there's parallels here with Finn's story and Rey's story about one meeting a hero, the other being the hero, and how they react in those situations, which I think is going to be really, really fascinating. And I'm really looking forward to Finn's story. I think we, in the last episode or the one before, we talked a little bit about Finn, and it's like, this guy hasn't gotten enough love. in the lead up to the Last Jedi. What's he up to in this movie? We're all talking about Rey and Kylo and Luke, and no doubt with good reason. But Finn is going to be a very, very key part of this movie. I can't wait to see what's next with this guy.
Oh, his story is at the forefront of the Resistance, above. I mean, you were going to say Leia and Poe. Well, maybe not necessarily in this film, but it definitely was in The Force Awakens. Like, he was the central character in that film, and I think this film is really...
Whoa.
Well, central character along with Rey, excuse me.
Yeah. And I'm just busting your chops.
But either way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But what pulls him back into the fight from this, what we're seeing in this article is it's Rose Tico's adoration for him, the way she speaks about him, the way she regards him, kind of says, like, I can be that guy, like, the guy that she's talking about, like, this is the guy that people need. Her
belief in him, the vision that she has of Finn, not a Force vision, just the idea of Finn the hero, and I guess it's something he's going to try and live up to.
That's what kind of changes his mind, supposedly. It seems like a bit of a spoiler a bit as well, but...
Yeah, all this could be interpreted as some kind of mild spoiler, but we still don't know what exactly they're going to do. So anyway, let's move on to the next story. We'll try and speed this up a bit. The creatures and caretakers of Acto. Holy God, what the hell are these things, Corey? I mean, we've talked enough about the Porgs. We love the Porgs. Did you see the stuffed animal picture?
Of course.
Oh my God,
flapping arms and all.
Oh my God, I'm gonna just die when these things come out.
It's gonna be like Tickle Me Elmo. They're gonna come out right around.
Will elbow people to get at these things.
Yep.
And if they happen to be children, well, they shouldn't have been there.
I'm
just kidding. I don't think I can admit to that on a show like this. Okay, so we'll give the Porgs a break for now. Although that picture of a Porg on the dashboard of the cockpit in the Falcon, I nearly fell out of my chair when I first saw that.
Indeed. I think it leads right back to that toy, that leaked image of the toy of Chewbacca with that one Porg in case. I think he's maybe life debted to a Porg. There very well could be a Porg that saves Chewie in this movie. And, he's like, I'm taking you with me, buddy, or this one Porg will not leave his side. Maybe the Porg is life debted to Chewie.
Yeah,
but it seems like
I've assigned a whole bunch of importance to the Porg, and maybe that'll play out, but I'm thinking maybe I just need to pump the brakes a little bit on these guys. They could just be some cute fuzzy creatures that'll play some kind of minor role. They may be nothing more than like window dressing. They could, if Chewie's down in the dumps, these could be the little creatures that help pull him out of it.
I think that's more the case than anything, but them being on Act 2 and all that, I think they might have a certain wisdom and knowledge, a subtle knowledge that it's kind of like a wink to the audience in a sense where you know that they know that you know, but the characters don't know.
Yeah, there could be something instinctual about them that, maybe there's some wisdom behind those big black eyes, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. Those black eyes, they almost, like that picture, like you had just said, with Chewie and the Porg in the cockpit, like, it almost looks like he's casting a spell or something. Like, he looks like he's in a trance. Like, I'm going to guide this ship to the ground, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll see what the Porg are going to be all about. But
bottom line is they're delicious.
Bite your tongue.
What? Was it pulled porg?
Yeah, pulled pork sandwiches. But these caretakers, what on earth are these things? What was your first reaction to seeing these things?
That Jim Henson was speaking from the grave.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I could see them already moving in a way. Like, the way I see them moving, it's very... They're going to look like puppet, or not puppets, but as an audience member, you're going to be able to tell their costumes, I think. But regardless, I'm very interested. I want to know more about them. I like the the history that they're carrying. They're the caretakers of this Acto. Why? Like it's said that eons ago they kind of came out of the water and took over or whatever. Like decided that for some reason that this place needed caretaking. And
Well,
they're
I
kind
have
of
questions. First of all, if they're sea creatures, why are they wearing that little nun's habit? Where did they get it? Second of all, I need to know that answer.
Well, they do speak. What is it? A bubbly Scottish.
Blobbish Scottish babble talk. I don't know, something like that.
And they tolerate Luke's presence, but for sure, like they're very smart creatures, and there's a reason they're guarding or caretaking this place, which is really, really interesting to me. Like I'm curious to see. When I first saw it, I thought they were the caretakers of the Porg.
They could be, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe, but no. With the necklaces they're wearing and whatnot, the clothing, their attire, it's very nun-ish.
Oh yeah. I don't know if these things have anything to do with the Jedi or the Force. You would imagine yes.
You would imagine yes, of course. They're worshiping this place.
Maybe these are Church of the Force people. Real deal Church of the Force.
Straight from the sea, man.
But I need to know. God damn it. Where did they get these habits from? Sea creatures don't wear clothes.
I love the fact that Rian Johnson kind of says, you know, he says he's like, we kind of had to think of a backstory for them, and they kind of came out eons ago, and they have these like chicken legs, but you as a viewer supposedly will get the impression that time and again they will go back to the sea just because it's calls to them almost.
Like Moana.
Yeah. It's calling me.
For one hot minute, there was a belief that these creatures, or now obviously there's multiple of them, but at some point, I think MSW had reported seeing a sketch of a creature, a female creature, clearly female, wearing like religious garb and with a strange shaped head. And for one hot minute, people went to, it's Ahsoka. She's on Acto. Oh my God. And people started like flailing a little bit. That kind of died off quickly. So yeah, it's these, there's no name for them, right? Just the caretakers.
The caretakers. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think anyhow.
To me, they look more,
but there might be a species name.
Yeah, I don't remember, I don't recall seeing one, but
me neither.
My first reaction, I chuckled the first time I saw them. I was like, what the hell? What are these? They look more Doctor Who than Star Wars to me.
That's exactly what I kind of meant in a way. Like, can't you see them the way they're going to turn their head and like look at someone? It's, I don't know. Yeah, you're going to be able to tell almost that they're puppets.
You going to buy the action figure?
We'll see. I'm gonna see that. I'm very, I'm so weird with my collecting. So weird.
Are you going to buy the Black Series caretaker?
Black Series is so hard to turn down.
You think since they're little people sized that there'll be like 2 in a pack? Would that be enough to get you to buy Black Series caretakers?
Yeah, well, whatever. Probably either way, I'll get them anyway. But I'm very intrigued with their characters. I'm really interested as to what they're doing there, what their purpose is, what they believe in, the why.
The why. All right. Moving ahead. Anything else on the creatures?
Not necessarily, but in the same article, they kind of state that, the elements on Act 2, like everything involved there, it's going to really deepen our mythology and understanding of the Force, everything behind the Force. The foundations of where it all started. They even went as far as saying cave paintings. And
yeah, that's going to be really cool. I mean, I don't think it's stuff that's going to be referenced specifically in the film. I think we'll see them in the background, and it'll be the type of stuff that Rian Johnson puts in the movie for people like us just to pour over frame by frame and freak out when and if we actually put some kind of or connect some kind of dot,
or perhaps even laying the background to a future saga. Like, I love the fact that they're going back to the first Jedi Temple and the primitive origins and nature of the Force. Like, there's something in this movie that's gonna shake our understanding and foundations of what that was.
We've been promised that for a while now, right? Okay. Moving ahead, Snoke and the Praetorian Guard. This story, I really don't think there was much here. We learned that the Praetorian Guard are named specifically after actual Praetorian Guard from Roman times, whose job it is to specifically protect the Emperor. And in this case, they'll be protecting Snoke to their last breath. And I don't know. Anything jump at this little story for you?
Not too much. Just the fact that they seem very well trained. Their armor is conducive to that. They're formal warriors. To be in Snoke's service is a big deal. So they're going to be highly trained warriors, and I really like their attire.
Well, the question is, we've been told that we're going to see them in action. So I'm wondering, who are we going to see them in action against?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious in the sense that, well, not necessarily obvious, but we think Rey's going to face off against people on Acto, the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
But that's due to the behind-the-scenes sizzle reel. We see multiple blades coming down on her saber, but they look like longer staffs, which could be these guys as well.
Could be these guys.
These guys, if they're going to go up against anyone, it's going to be a Force user. We have 3 Force users. Possibly 4. Luke, Rey, and Kylo.
Who's the possible 4th you're getting at?
Snoke.
You think they might turn on Snoke? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, I'm saying that there's 4 Force users we know of at the moment that can throw their hats in the ring.
Right. Yeah, no, this one has got me really curious. I have no idea. I mean, Rey's going to be all over the place if that's the case. We know she's on Acto for a large part of the movie. We know at some point she makes it to Crate. And this image of the Praetorian Guard in action, clearly in a First Order installation, whether it's a Star Destroyer, Snoke's flagship, or a base, I don't know. But, is Rey going to get that close to Snoke in this movie? Or Luke, for that matter? I don't know. But I'm definitely intrigued. I want to see how a bunch of guys with no vision... I mean, these guys you can't see through that mask. I want to see how they're going to fight.
That's odd. For sure they're going to be badass fighters, and you don't know what they're seeing. It's the same thing as a stormtrooper. Like, I have my own stormtrooper mask. If you throw me into battle like that, I'm going to be like, I'd rather take my helmet off and take my chances, thanks. You can't see anything. But so for me,
well, it is Star Wars, right? This could be like their equivalent of like a one-way mirror or two-way mirror.
It's an Iron Man mask in my headcanon, kind of.
Like it's full of sensors and stuff that give them like a video feed of what's going on outside.
Oh yeah, they got everything. They got oxygen levels, temperature, you name it.
Anyway, these guys look ferocious. I hope we get to see them in battle, but I don't really have a preference as to who takes them on. Just give us a good action sequence with them. Okay.
Well, we said their blades are conducive to fighting people of,
Yeah, you can see a little electric field, right, on one of the staffs.
Yeah, they're definitely meant to fight the upper echelon of fighters. It's not like some guys are going to come in there with blasters and they're going to be like, "Here's our staffs." Like, it's hand-to-hand combat.
No, I think anybody who's going to get that close to Snoke to take on the Praetorian Guard is somebody who's way up the food chain.
Yeah.
Way up there. As far as Snoke goes, we're going to see more of him in this movie. We'll see him in the flesh, as burnt and scarred as it is.
No puppet. All mocap.
Yep. Yeah, which is going to be interesting. I mean, I think we thought it would... I mean, the puppet was just for reference for the actors, right? That'll all be replaced digitally after.
And the performance that Andy Serkis pulled off, supposedly, according to Ryan Johnson, was like his reaction was he looked at the person next to him when Andy Serkis had done what he had done, and he was just like, did you just see what I just saw? Because we just got that take.
Yeah, no, I'm expecting big things here. Some really, I expect really a brief performance, but almost like a scene-stealing one.
Oh, 100%.
Did you see today there was a photo leak of the Snoke action figure?
I did see that, and yeah, it looks quite cool.
It looks like he looks like a taller, bald Hugh Hefner.
It's gonna make a fine addition to my collection.
So is the Snoke 6-inch Black Series really going to be a like 7.5-inch tall Black Series?
I would think he's got to be Chewbacca height. Chewbacca's bigger than most.
That's true. Yep, he'll probably be Chewbacca height. And finally on Snoke, Johnson says we'll learn exactly as much about Snoke as we need to. So, as has been said in the past, not going to go too deep on this character. I don't know this is necessarily about him too much. Maybe we'll get a lot more of him in 9. But yeah, we're all waiting on this guy. As much as we're waiting for Luke, we're kind of desperate to see what Snoke's up to and who he is too, right?
I agree, but I really don't think from him saying that, he's almost saying like, you know, it's cool, but don't build yourself up for, you know, the Plagueis thing.
Yeah, no, let's as far as that goes, I mean, I think we need to temper our expectations. Let's just embrace whatever it is Andy Serkis is putting forth as a performance, and whatever Ryan Johnson has, you know, packed into the plot for him. All right, Corey, we're halfway there. We're through part 4. Part 5 was about Leia, and Ryan Johnson said that she's defined by loss, yet she just kind of keeps going with the task at hand. And really, if you think about it, he's absolutely right. Like she loses her mom at birth, which somehow never gets mentioned. Separated from her brother, her planet's destroyed, her son goes dark, her husband dies. She loses probably hundreds of close friends and soldiers over time within the rebellion and the resistance. Like, it's not been an easy life for Leia.
For sure. Think of Hosnian Prime, and even now, like Han, her brother. She doesn't know what's up with
and in
Luke.
Bloodline, like those the loss of credibility that she had.
Yeah,
her entire reputation was completely destroyed in that. So there's another piece of loss for her.
It's incredible, and I love the fact that they stick with that in the sense that she's unbroken, and I think she could really send some of that will or resolve over to her her brother, her twin brother.
Yeah, they are kind of a contrasting brother-sister duo, right? Like Luke had some loss and he took off. Leia's been losing things the whole time, and she keeps plowing ahead. Again, we got a little bit of a duality going on there. It mentioned that Ben Solo has now completely fallen to the dark side, which is interesting because I think they kind of led us to believe that killing Han didn't push him any further dark. It made him full of regret and didn't give him that feeling of power he was craving. But apparently now that's it. He's gone full dark. So is that it? Is the light gone from Ben, and there's no way he's coming back? What do you think?
No, I always think there's room for redemption. I'm curious about Snoke's thing when he says, you know, you have to come back here to finish your training. So now that he killed his father and he's coming back, like what's in store for him, you know?
Well, clearly he needs some lightsaber lessons.
Yeah, he's got to get his head in the game, whatever it is.
Yep, he needs some help in that department.
And I hope we get to see that. Some of like, I don't know, like if it's Snoke that trains him, then it's 100% confirmed that Snoke himself is a Force user.
Well, I think that's already part of his Wikipedia entry, or his Star Wars wiki. That he's a dark side user.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, they had a mention of the notion of family going far beyond blood relations, which is interesting because there's a couple different angles you can look at that from. There's Poe and Leia, where they called Poe a bit of a surrogate son for Leia, but also Luke and Rey. There's another, even though they may not be blood related, perhaps Luke now becomes the father figure that she thought she had in Han.
Exactly, like Han just played that role as well in The Force Awakens. Very much so a father figure to her.
Yeah, and Poe's story is kind of weaved into this as well. Leia sees in him the potential to be a great leader of the Resistance and into the future. And the
not
quote,
just some crazy good X-wing pilot, you know.
Yeah, that he has the actual chops within him to lead, which I'll buy that.
I like it a lot. I think, you see it in him as well, the way he is with people, the way he acted with Finn. Like he's
got poise.
He's got poise. He's got a good
poise counts.
Character.
Yeah, all this is it's not bad for a character who was supposed to die early on in The Force Awakens.
Who, Poe?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was supposed to. I don't know if it was during the crash on Jakku, but he was supposed to die very early in the movie. And Oscar Isaac kind of talked him out of it. Said, "No, you got to do more for this character. You got to write me a thing
and a comic book.
No, keep me around." And look at this. Now he's a key player.
Big time.
Yeah. One of the last thing that kind of jumped out at me. So the quote from the EW. I don't want to tip the hat too much, but I will say that the heat is immediately turned up on the Resistance. Johnson says everybody is put in a pressure cooker right away, and relationships crack and strain under that pressure. That was really interesting to me, the notion of putting this small army under a lot of external pressure and showing some of the results within the Resistance itself. I think this is in reference to a First Order attack on the Resistance in the first act of the movie. I think we've seen clips of that early on, or in the first trailer. I think that's what's going on here. I think we got a first act battle, or maybe it's more of an ambush of the First Order on the Resistance.
Yeah, it's possible. We've been back and forth on that, saying that the battle on Crate may be the last one, but who knows? They could be somewhere else before Crate too.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely, I like the sense that they're really saying the Republic is gone. Like the Republic has pretty much been disbanded. There is no Republic. The galaxy, there is no government per se, and the First Order is like really sweeping in there. And
I would say there's probably still a functioning government, but like a totally toothless and vulnerable one.
I don't know.
Their only protection might be the Resistance, which is not much of a protection at all.
Well, that's it. I really get the impression that the Republic has been destroyed.
It's I mean, if you smoked the White House or Capitol Hill, or in Canada, if you blew up Parliament Hill, there would still be somehow a functioning government. There are contingencies in place, but it's total chaos. Yeah. Absolute total madness. So one last thing. There's no way that we could have known this would have been the last Star Wars movie she would be in. So it's not like we made the film thinking that we were bringing closure to the character. So again, this is what I've been saying all along. There's no tricks here. This is a movie that's going to leave Leia open-ended. The movie ends as if she was supposed to have a big, huge role in 9. I've been saying that all along, and this comment again backs that up.
It does, but I still I can't believe that till I see it. Like, I have to believe that they're going to deal with it somehow in this movie. And I've said it to you again before. We don't know, but we've heard Leia will be injured severely in this movie. To have her injured severely, taking a back seat in this film, and then have the character written off in the next film and not even see is a huge disservice. So I think they could really use that footage Like, why would you have someone injured or killed twice in the same, like, back to back? You know, it's so redundant. So they got to be able to use that footage to their advantage right now. And I still think that they will somewhat deal with it in this film.
I don't know. I'm going with what they're telling me. I don't always do that. I'm usually quite cynical and assume people have other agendas. But I think like I said, they're playing this straight up. But let's not go back down that rabbit hole. Story 6 was about Benicio del Toro's character, and they really didn't tell us anything that we didn't know already. They said he's an unscrupulous figure, expert slicing skills, a code breaker, best in the galaxy. I don't know. I think John Boyega had the only interesting thing to say about him, in that he's an opportunist. He's not good. He's not bad. He's there for himself. And
he's like the Boba Fett.
I guess in a way, just whoever's going to pay me, however, I'm on the side of however this benefits me. So all this chaos, perfect. I'm in. Pay me.
The article alludes to him being on Canto Bight as well, but I see it personally in the sense that they're with him and they need him to slice or hack whatever it is to get information on Canto Bight. Like, I don't think they're going to Canto Bight to get him, but they need him to crack, because it's a casino, right? Like, if you're going to crack anything in a casino, you need the best of the best, right?
No, I guess, yeah. It just, I don't know. I'm curious to know who feeds. I mean, I think we all assume that Finn and Rose are going after DJ, whether to spring him loose or just to get him to, use his skills. I want to know how they find out about him. Is that the purpose of their undercover mission? I don't know. I don't know how this plays out. I'm really excited to find out. And I want to know what info they need. I'm assuming they need him to hack something and get them some information.
And again, like, my theory is Canto Bight, like casino. You want to break into a casino, the most luxurious, opulent place in the galaxy, almost, it seems, or city. Like, you're gonna need the best of the best, and even they might say, like, no, it's impossible.
Yeah. The next story about Rey and her family, and Rian Johnson said it's important to her in terms of her finding her place in all this, but at the end of the day, like, once she finds out who or what her family is, it's not going to be all that important to her. I don't know. Does that feel like they kind of threw cold water all over this? Like, this is probably the number one thing. If it's not number one, it's like 1A. Who is Rey? Who are her parents? Like, do you feel like they threw cold water on that?
Yeah, I do. Like, the way he said it, he basically said it's not all that significant to the overall story. But at the same time, it is. Because he asks, how can the past affect our future? Which is almost the theme of this movie. And you can look at it from so many ways. Kylo Ren, going back to Acto, like, all these things touching upon the past. But
yeah, like understanding your past to see where you're going in the future.
Yeah,
that's one of the things they got at, right?
Yeah, that's where I was going with this. But again, in the cold water sense, like, I'm getting either it's shade and they're hiding something. Like, a lot of people think she's a Skywalker or a Kenobi, but I'm really not getting that vibe. Like, she's just a girl.
Exactly. Yeah, like, how could you find out that she's a Skywalker or a Solo or a Kenobi and it doesn't matter that much? So that's shade. It's not passing the sniff test for me at this point.
No, not in that regard. Anyhow, like, so I think she's just her own person.
Yeah, and maybe her parents are people that are familiar to us. Maybe they're not. Probably they're not. I don't know. It sounds like that is not going to be that big a deal. In fact, in the same piece, they talk about Finn learning a bit about his past, which now kind of like jumps ahead of Rey's story. It sounds like where Finn comes from and who his family is potentially more interesting than what's happening with Rey and her family.
Yeah, and that kind of bothers me a bit because from what I've been led to believe is that the First Order, it's kind of like the kids are there from the get-go and they grow up together and it's all army all the time. So to hear that he has a big, like his past can play a role in this it's interesting, but it makes me, the smell, the sniff test thing, it's not passing it.
I had a theory at one point that this goes way back, maybe even to season 1 of Rebels. And Ezra had made a friend there whose name completely escapes me, but that friend had an older sister, and she disappeared. It was at that Imperial training facility.
Yeah, 100%. That kid was in several episodes.
Yeah, he was sort of like a bit of a mole, right?
Yep.
But he had an older sister who had been sort of singled out and taken away into some elite training program.
Because she was Force sensitive.
Right. So I wonder, like, I had a theory, a very lazy one, that ends up being Finn's mom.
I've thought about that as well.
And then that, of course, will bring in, well, then is Finn Force sensitive? Is he a Force user? But let's not go there yet. We're still way ahead of ourselves on that one. Yeah, there you go. That's not much really that we haven't explored in the family thing. So we'll move on to the last bit, which is sort of a mishmash of bits and pieces about Rey and Kylo Ren and Chewie and Maz. He kind of painted Ben Solo / Kylo Ren as an emo teenager, which we already knew, but this really puts an exclamation point on that.
Yeah, it kind of sucks for a guy that's pushing 30.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he's past 30. He's on the other side of 30, and he's still maybe listening to too much Simple Plan. And what I thought was interesting is that Ren's murder of Han Solo makes Rey hate him that much more. Like, and when you think of it, it makes perfect sense. All she wants is her family, and here's this doofus killing off his family.
Oh yeah,
she adored Han, and he kills him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like when I read the article, I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Like she just can't fathom it. She can't understand why he would do something like that. Like all she's yearned for her entire life was to be loved, and to have someone love someone like the way Han loved Kylo so deeply, or Ben, and to see him just kill him like that, like it's like, why? I just can't fathom your thought process.
Where's your head at?
Yeah,
this person just wants to be your dad, and you kill him. What is wrong with you? Like they are completely on opposite ends of the spectrum. And for me, I mean, this is another dagger in the whole Reylo thing.
Oh yeah, it's gone. That's done. If that happens, like, to be honest, you might as well call it like Twilight, because it's not gonna happen. It can't. It just can't.
It can.
It can. Anything can. Anything can. But
I don't see it. I don't think it should. Like she's too good for him. On his, like I said this on Twitter, on Kylo Ren's best day, he's not nearly good enough for Rey.
I could see them having a platonic love.
Oh, there could be some coming together in terms of we need to work together. We need to get over our differences and work together to like fix this conflict.
And
but
them genuinely being sad if one of them passes or is hurt or anything like that. But romantically, no,
not a chance.
If James were here, he'd definitely say, because they're brother and sister, it's just not going to happen.
Moving on. Rian Johnson said he had to catch himself, and it's funny how people involved in the production of these movies have to watch every word they say. And Rian Johnson caught himself, and he said, "The ghost of Han." Well, not literally, as he said, laughing. He doesn't want to like mislead people, but he meant like the figurative ghost of Han is going to be present in this movie. So Han's going to continue to have an impact. His death will reverberate in interesting ways. So,
oh yeah, definitely. Like it's affected Kylo in a big way. It's made him turn to the dark side. However, Snoke's manipulated that, and from Rey's standpoint too, it was her somewhat father figure, more or less, even though it was a day to a week they spent together.
Yeah, a very, very limited time together. A little bit about Gwendolyn Christie's Captain Phasma character. We get to see her in action in this movie, and he loves the look of the character, and who doesn't? I like the potential of Phasma, but I wonder if The Last Jedi should have been her entry point into the saga, because when you think about it, she was so useless in The Force Awakens. Like, the parts that she did have could have easily been handed over to other people, and then
she got dumped on, literally.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was tossed out with the trash. She was dumped in the dump.
Yep. And like prior to that, it's like, where's your weapon, 2187? Like, that's it. Like, fire. Okay, we get she's like the squad commander, fine. But phew.
I mean, we were told that she has this fearsome reputation. She's a fierce warrior, not to be trifled with. But I mean, she got trifled with big time in this movie. She got clowned in this movie. That reputation that was built around her in the hype did not present itself in the movie.
It's almost like a WWE wrestling match, like, because we know, like, I think we got confirmation here that Finn and her are going at it at one point in this film. I think John Boyega like confirmed that. So Phasma's gonna have a point to prove again. Like she's
got an axe to grind.
Oh yeah.
Not only is this somebody who got away from her, like under her watch, but this is a guy that threw her in the trash and made her. You can almost blame her for the destruction of Starkiller.
Pretty much.
Like, how is she not stripped of her rank for that? Jeez, if I'm First Order, that's nothing short of treason, right?
Yeah, somehow she managed to get out of that trash compactor and get a...
Well,
no one knows. That's it.
That's
all the evidence got erased. No one knows it was her that gave the information.
I guess not. Maybe not. Maybe she... We're going to find out more about that in that 4-part or 5-part, I think it's 4-part, Captain Phasma comic book series. We're going to see her get out of that trash compactor and then hightail it out of Starkiller before it goes boom. But
either way, like, just if you ever saw a picture of, I think it must have been Celebration. It must have been. But you look at Gwendolyn Christie and you look at John Boyega, and I think Gwendolyn was wearing some pretty high heels, but she is literally towering over him.
Oh, I think she's
giant.
I want to say she's 6 feet tall.
Oh, she's tall.
Or
she's tall.
Like 6'1" or something like that. She's a tall woman.
So like some of the pictures that were taken in the Vanity Fairs thing, like she's got a very cool warrior stance. And I think we're going to see her come in.
I don't watch Game of Thrones, but you can see some of the poses she pulls in that. She's imposing.
Yeah, big time. And I just want to see her with some kind of like, almost like a Gatling gun, but even if it's not, I just see her going hog wild, like this is how it's done, boys, you know? Like, step back.
Well, yeah, I just want to see her almost like, with like pinpoint. Like, I don't need to see her like wasting ammo, going on sprees like guys in the Predator. It's one shot, one kill type thing.
I see her raining mass destruction. I do see it like that, like where she has like a gun where she's just like, you know, with like the chain in her hand almost.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like she's more brutal with like the melee weapons, the hand-to-hand stuff. Like that time there, she'll like gut you, but with her gun, I think she's probably a bit more refined and deadly accurate. But you know, back to the false hype from The Force Awakens. I really think like it would almost be sacrilege to say now, but I think she should have been cut from The Force Awakens, and in the lead up to the Last Jedi. Now you hype her. You say, here is this like amazing chrome stormtrooper leader who is going to kick all kinds of ass.
Or you could have left her in the film in the sense that you keep her on the Jakku scene at the beginning where she's ordering that execution, so you get the sense that she's super evil. And then later on in the film, she can kind of be coordinating with Hux or whatever it is. Smaller role, but you get the gravitas of her authority within the Order, and she's not necessarily getting tossed down a trash compactor. Like,
well, yeah, it's really that scene. That scene is a huge problem for me. And now, like, what we're going to do is we're going to see this 4-part comic book series, and we're getting a whole novel. And both of those, guaranteed, are not going to be full of moments of her rolling over.
oh, for sure.
So there's going to be this massive inconsistency with her character. She's going to be badass in the novel, badass in the comic book, badass in The Last Jedi, but at a crucial moment on Starkiller Base, she turtles. It's going to feel really weird. And that's why I think if you would just, they should have. It's
that scene anyhow. That scene should have.
Bad.
That scene
bad.
definitely
say
should.
that's
The trash
one of the
compactor should
worst
have been
scenes.
It should have been a lackey of some type.
Yeah,
It
they should have
been
just
hey,
found like a high-ranking officer, a captain or something.
or not even just some guy that was just like, oh my god.
Like
Han
not
Solo.
everybody has the codes or the capability to turn off the shield, so you make it
true.
an officer or something. Perhaps one of the remember the guy that Kylo Ren, what girl? That guy? I guess he's stationed on
Yeah.
a Star Destroyer, but some face that we've seen, make him do it. Like make him shut off.
Yeah, some face that you would like. It's kind of like propaganda film, but some face from earlier in the film that you like already hated.
It would have made more sense for them to make Hux turn it off. He's already a sniveling jerk.
Yeah, exactly. A sniveler, not some like hardcore warrior.
Yeah. I don't fall too in love with my takes, but that one I'm adamant about. Like I think Captain Phasma should not. If I could change one thing, I would remove her from the film, and then make The Last Jedi like a grand entrance where there's no baggage, there's no inconsistency. She shows up and she just demolishes people.
Or you leave her in the Force Awakens at, again, the execution. Like, just kill all these folks and I'm out of here. I don't even want to watch. Peace.
I think either would have worked, but you still would have had that false hype. Like she didn't do anything. You hyped her as this awesome warrior. All she did was say, "No, you guys kill them. I don't want to do this." Like it could have been
That's true.
a
I think
huge focus of the marketing campaign for the Last Jedi. Seeing this chrome stormtrooper about to mop the floor with a bunch of dopes.
You actually bought me a Phasma Funko Pop for my 35th birthday?
Did I?
35th or 34th? I can't remember.
It had to be 35th.
There you go.
Chewie. There's a little bit on Chewie that he's doing all right. He's still kind of in mourning, but he's tough. He's resilient. He's got big shoulders, and he's got a new mission.
He's got the porgs.
I'm curious, does Chewie have a specific mission? That's interesting to me. I don't know what it could possibly be, but I'm taking that as confirmation that Chewie he's with Rey now. We kind of debated, is Chewie sort of attached to Rey now, or does he go where the Falcon goes? I always felt like maybe he might fit better with Finn, as Rey will be off doing Jedi things, and maybe a Wookiee doesn't belong there. But I'm totally on board now with Rey and Chewie as a 1-2 punch.
Maybe not necessarily that. Like, I don't see them being, like the Han Solo Chewie moving forward. But I definitely see Chewie, having an attachment to her. But I really see this Porg and Chewie having they're a duo now. They got a toy together. Like I don't see it being. But it depends who's the Falcon. You think about the Falcon, like Chewie, bound to the Falcon for sure.
Yeah, you got to think wherever the Falcon goes, that's where Chewie is.
Yeah, that's his home.
Yep. Okay, Maz finally, she's gonna have an even smaller part than she did in the Force Awakens, but it's a really fun part, says Rian Johnson, and he's pleased that he got to work with her. You don't say. I don't know. What do you see for Maz?
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like, I can't really, when he says fun, like, I almost want to see it in the Porg scene, because there's something that's going to be magic about that Porg scene. But She has to be at the Resistance base or whatever it is. Like she has to be helping Leia, or
yeah. I mean, her pub was destroyed, and she was supposed to be the one to hand the lightsaber over to Leia, but all that was cut from the film.
Or maybe she could be the one to greet, along with Leia. She can greet Luke and Rey when they return from Act 2 to the Resistance.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's going to be a very short but hopefully important. I mean,
who else
she might be in one scene. I had once upon a time said that she's not going to be in the movie at all.
Yeah, well, there was no reports for such a long time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like she's going to have maybe a scene or two, tops. I'm going to say one scene, and I'm going to say it's going to be at the end of the movie. There's a little tease as to what's coming for Ads Edition. Are we done here? Are we done with the news and this EW stuff?
I think so. It was, thank you, Anthony Bresnikan.
Oh yeah. I mean, we just got force-fed tons of Star Wars stuff in a very short window. How about all those images? Any of those images jump out at you?
Not necessarily. It's nothing that we've really haven't talked about already. Like, to know that the Praetorian Guard, like, a big thing of their costumes was the ability for them to move, even though they kind of somewhat look restricted to me. But no, that seems not to be the case.
Yeah. One image that stood out to me in particular, I think my favorite image of the bunch, two of them actually. It's Finn behind the controls of that Resistance ski speeder. For one, I didn't know that Finn had piloting skills, but apparently he can drive this thing. And whether he's just driving one because he feels like he needs to do it, and he has no idea what he's doing, which would not be unrealistic to think. He's a bit of a goofball, but I like the look on his face. Like, he looks like he's ready to rock.
Yeah, the look in his face is sheer confidence, and I think, again, we're going to touch back on that in Ad's question.
Yeah, and then we get a full shot of the Canto Bight Casino, along with it's dotted with those police speeders, which I'm not a huge fan of. What do you think of those little speeders?
Not a big fan either. Have to see them in action before I really make a judgment, but toy-wise, not working for me. Kind of reminds me of earlier G.I. Joe stuff.
Well, yeah, like maybe Canto Bight is not known as a violent place, but if you're a cop, wouldn't you like a little bit more protection than what that vehicle offers?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, well, whatever, it probably has shields and whatnot, but still.
You think it has shields?
Why not? You're a cop. You get the little, you get the 5.0 package in there.
Maybe. There was that image of Rey standing in front of the hut with Luke at the door, and of course the internet did what the internet does and made it sort of like a someone going door to door selling encyclopedias or pushing a religion, and Luke just saying, "Get off my lawn."
Yeah, Rey's not here, man.
Yeah. And of course there was the image of the caretakers, which I had to do like a triple take on. And the covers look fantastic too. I gotta go out, hit a newsstand or three and find both copies. Rey, for my money, Rey has never looked better.
I was out this weekend a bit shopping, not much there, but I looked and didn't see in grocery stores anyhow.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled this week. I'm sure we're bound to find them. But yeah, Luke and Rey just look fantastic. All right.
You know what's interesting about just touching back on the Porgs one last time? The plush toy Porg that we've seen, it's making its rounds on the internet right now. It's a toy that's going to have moving Porg arms. Like, it's mechanical.
Well, I think also you press its belly and it's going to make some Porg sounds too.
Oh, yeah. You got the sound thing and you got like you said, sound, and then you see the arms and there's like the motion that they actually move. But there's 4 different languages here of what it is. And you know what it's called? It's from the fantasy scene.
The fantasy scene?
Yeah, if you look, I don't know if you have seen the images, but in the English version there, you got the 4 languages, like Spanish, French, German, I believe. and it says fantasy scene. So I think this is the scene that we've all been hearing about, where it's like I could just hear John Williams music and Chewbacca kind of coming back to life or whatever it is, but it's going to be something that we're all going to fall in love with the Porgs. It's going to be Disney-esque, but either way, it's going to be a great scene.
Could that also have something to do sort of with a Force vision fantasy?
Possibly.
Yeah. Yep.
You wouldn't want those zombie eyes turning on you.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back with Binary Sunset. We've got Ads Edition, of course, Bradley, some Bradley banter. Jeffrey's back, and so is Katie. So we got a long way to go here, folks. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hello, lads. Another week, another question. But before I do, I just wanted to say a little message to James, if he's listening. I'm sure he is. Wow, mate. What an amazing part of this show you've been. Right from back in the start when, you helped get me hooked into it all the way through. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm sure at some point in the future we'll hear your witty retorts again, but for now, hopefully, stay friends on Twitter, etc., social media, and you will always be a tumbling saber in my eyes. So back to the question, Carl, Corey, quite straightforward really this week regarding the upcoming Last Jedi movie. What are your predictions for it? So, for example, as I've said previously, my prediction is the red dust on Crate will actually be used as a deliberate explosive tactic. So what do you think? What are your predictions? What are you going to put into the can to then revisit after the film to see whether you got it right? Have a great show. Take care. Bye.
There goes Ads yet again. Thank you, sir, and thank you for the kind words about James. We know he's listening, and we certainly feel the same way. Yeah, there's a empty chair here to my left. Who knows when or if it will get filled again? But we hear you, Ads. Okay, so Corey, we've got. Do you have any predictions for The Last Jedi? These are subject to change as we learn more down the road. But what are some early things that you're kind of putting in your cap as far as predictions go?
Nothing too significant at this point, but
come on, go big.
Well, the first small thing I'm going to say is, in the trailer where we see a Resistance speeder kind of skimming, or a skimmer, whatever they were called.
The Resistance ski speeder.
Yeah, the ski speeders, they skim the ground, and one of them kind of bounces off the ground a bit. Now that we've seen Finn in the pilot seat of one, I'm going to say that was him.
Getting used to the controls and not quite as swift as some of the other trained pilots?
Correct. Like, we know in The Force Awakens he's not a pilot. And he's going to be getting into the driver's seat in a big way in this film, taking a lot of responsibility. And by the end of it, if this is the battle on Crate, which takes place at the end of the film, we're going to think that he has a lot of confidence at this point after everything that he's accomplished. And the look on his face kind of almost says it all in that picture.
Yeah, he's ready to go in that picture. Almost looks like he's enjoying what's coming. No, I agree with you. I'm giving my approval on that one for whatever that's worth. Okay, so how many do you have? Just so we can maybe go back and forth, or I don't know. Is that it? Are you done?
No, I have a few, I guess, but I'd almost rather tackle it in the sense that what's not going to happen, because there's a lot of theories out there right now that I want to debunk.
All right, well, we'll get to that. So I'll give you my first theory, and I kind of just hinted at it when we were talking about Maz. Earlier on, we talked about Rey learning about her family, about her parents, and I don't know if it's going to be just blurted out and given to her in a straightforward manner. I think there's going to be pieces for her to put together, and I don't know if she's going to be able to until I think at the end of the movie, she's going to run into Maz, and Maz is going to, almost like in a scene reminiscent of Spaceballs. You know, when Lone Star finds out from Yogurt about his lineage, I'm a prince. Remember that old scene?
That's a good take. Like, I see her finding out about her lineage from Maz, like, mid-film.
Maybe, well...
Not necessarily, again, from Maz, but if it were...
Well, no, you're right. No, she's going to... I think the pieces will be given to Rey, whether in a Force vision or Luke will hint at it or something she'll discover on her own, but she's not going to understand it. It's just going to be something that's on her mind that she can't put together. She'll see Maz, and she'll kind of unload on Maz a bit, and Maz will say, yeah, you dummy. Think about it this way. And Rey's going to
just opens her eyes.
Yeah, it's going to open all her eyes. So that's my first prediction. And is Maz is going to have a bit of a Yogurt moment, and is going to give Rey the answer that she's looking for. All right, so go ahead and debunk something.
I got another one. I sat down last night and I thought about the question, and I was like, what is there that I can really hang my hat on that's mine? And one thing that I kind of came up with, and I never really heard it before, and I don't remember us ever talking about it either, is I'm starting to, I don't know, I want to hang my hat on this one. Like, I don't necessarily think it's true, but let's say that Snoke is not a shadowy character, but with his opulence and all this stuff, that he's actually a prominent figure within the galaxy, that people, we heard Han and Leia both speak of him, like Snoke did this to him or whatever. So maybe Snoke is a prominent figure within the galaxy, and maybe with all this opulence and stuff that he seems to indulge within, maybe he's the owner or behind the scenes of Canto Bight.
Bankrolling the whole thing?
Yeah, kind of, or just not necessarily bankrolling, but reaping in the benefits of all those profits, and then kind of maybe, bankrolling whatever the First Order.
Very nice. I like that. I'll give you this one. I've mentioned it earlier in the show, but I'm going to say that the caretakers are Church of the Force. So there's a little bonus one. But here's one. Again, I've mentioned this a long time ago. It's a position I've had for a long time. The Last Jedi won't start on Ahch-To, as we've constantly been told. We've always been told that this movie is going to start where the last one left off. I don't think that I think that's the point in time, but I don't think we're going to start there. I think the movie is going to start with the same, panning to a ship or a planet that we've always had. But in this case, I think we're going to start with a scene with the First Order, whether we're going to immediately see Snoke's flagship, or if we're going to pan to a new First Order planet. I think the movie starts with the First Order, and then the very next scene takes us to Ahch-To.
I get you there. I'm totally on the same page. It would be the perfect way to start it. After the crawl, you do the sprawl on the ship or whatever it is, and then you have a conversation between maybe even Snoke and Kylo.
Snoke and Kylo, Hux and Snoke. I don't know. I have no reason to be confident in that take, but other than knowing that Star Wars always pans to a planet with a ship in the background or foreground. Somewhere in the shot there's a ship. Now, unless it's Kylo's ship approaching Ahch-To, I think that's the only way we start with Ahch-To, and then we cut down to the surface. But otherwise, I think we get sort of an orientation of where we are with the First Order right off the hop.
No, it makes sense.
You got another one?
This is really low-hanging fruit, I guess, and it's really general and broad, but I really do believe with Luke being on Ahch-To and everything that we've been told thus far, I think our vision, our understanding of the Force is going to change in a really big way. I don't want to say which way, but I think it's going to have a more, like Luke said, it's so much bigger than we ever could have imagined what the whole concept is. It's not so weighed down by dogma and whatnot.
Yeah, that's pretty low-hanging fruit there, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, how's this one? I said this early in the show, so it's kind of a bit of a bonus one, but I'm not going to say Rey's the chosen one, but I think Rey could be the balance in the Force. Like, that's a broad concept. It's a broad stroke as well, but it's kind of still bold.
Yeah, well, I mean, she represents something. And I'm not going to say she's not going to be someone to replace Anakin's legacy. That's not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, she could be. I don't know. I don't know. We've talked about her being a reincarnation of Anakin, which to me sounds a bit silly. But maybe she's sort of a re-embodiment of one of the first Force users. That's sort of not a Star Wars thing. Maybe now it will be. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, I mean, obviously she's going to represent something very, very important.
I got another quick one there. I didn't jot it down in my notes, but Rian Johnson, having the film experience that he has, we've talked about it before in the sense that, you know, he's familiar with time travel and jumping back and forth within time, so I'm going to say that's going to play another big role in this film, either time-wise, where the fans have an easier time understanding what exactly is going on in the film between the Resistance and being on Act 2 and the Resistance, like, you know, all that making sense time-wise, or the fact that he's on Acto and, you know, we might have multiple either flashbacks or Force visions.
Yeah, I think we're getting one. I don't know if we're going to have multiple. It's possible, of course. I don't think they want to lean too heavily on that. I think we'll get another really meaty Force back.
And I don't think we've really ever had I wouldn't even say Force back, but a flashback in a film.
No. It was a totally new thing with the Force back scene from The Force Awakens.
Yeah, but even apart from that, like I'm saying, not a Force back, not a vision of someone, but an actual point in the film where they take the audience back in time.
No, I mean, the closest thing maybe would be Palpatine telling us the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Yeah, or like I could possibly see that in this film. I might even say that we can see an earlier scene from, let it be a couple years prior or millennia prior, that it actually goes back in time for a bit, the film, just to get an understanding.
Ooh, I don't know. Ugh.
It's possible.
It's
possible with the whole time travel thing.
It is possible. I don't want Star Wars to get into time travel though. Even as like I mean, they have dabbled with it obviously with the Force back, but I don't want them to dabble in time travel too much. Jumping back and forth. I don't know. Live in the now. If you're going to explain the past to us, do it sort of in dialogue, in visuals. All right, I've got another one. It kind of ties a couple of reported plot points together. So my prediction is that Rey is going to have a vision of Finn and Rose either suffering or in big trouble, and she's going to abandon her training. Very similar to Luke.
Yeah, I've said that before in the past too. I like that.
And I know that cuts really close to Empire, and it kind of makes me bristle a bit, but I think it makes sense because there's a scene in the behind the scenes trailer with these executioner stormtroopers, and there's two of them, and they're holding these weapons which look like something to like hold a prisoner in place. And, you know, if these guys are actually called executioner troopers, their job is to execute, and here they have this tool to hold a prisoner. So my prediction.
I don't think those are tools to hold prisoners. I think those are tools to decapitate heads.
It could be that too. You're hastening my point. So expanding on my thought there, I think those two stormtroopers have Finn and Rose's name on their tools. And just before those two are about to, I think their undercover mission goes belly up. They get found out, taken prisoner. They're going to be executed in a bit of a public way, and Rey shows up to bail them out. That is going to be my prediction, and that's how Finn and Rey get back together, and that's why we see them together on Crate. They will head back to Crate together for the last act of the movie.
I see it playing out more in an Empire sense, where Rey does do that in the sense that, oh my god, my friends are in trouble, but not necessarily her saving them. Like, when Luke gets the Bespin, he doesn't save anybody. Like, he's fallen into the trap. And I think Rey can possibly fall into that trap as well, and it would be up to Benicio's character to somehow save Finn and Rose, because he would have put them into that mess.
Yeah,
he
maybe.
doesn't play for either side.
Maybe.
So he just kind of sells them out, and then knows how noble and how good and what they were fighting for is actually worth fighting for, kind of deal.
Well, now we're really getting close to Empire. Now you can almost say this is becoming Empire remake time.
I can see it happening. He seems like he's going to be that character, you know.
Oh yeah, he's going to be that morally gray character that we don't. He's good, he's bad. It just depends on his mood at the moment and who he thinks can benefit him most in the long run. Or maybe he does find a moral compass somewhere. But yeah, geez, having him fill that Lando role where he's, oh boy, that I you know what, if that happened, I would not begrudge people who said no, you remade Empire. Like that, I think that cuts a little too close, but yes, it could happen. I don't think it's insane to say that. But I'll just beef up my prediction a little further here. So we also saw Rey practicing with her staff. So I think in this quote air quote rescue sequence, I think she's fighting stormtroopers with her staff because she's lost the blue lightsaber in the reported middle act battle with Kylo or the Knights of Ren. I think the lightsaber, it goes bye-bye. Whether she loses it into the sea or it's destroyed or taken, it would be nice to see Kylo take that lightsaber, right?
Dude, that's the tumbling saber.
Yes.
It can't go bye-bye.
Well, I think that lightsaber is immortal. It's not going anywhere. But yeah, I think Rey loses it, and I think we see her battling stormtroopers in a scene somewhere where she goes to bail out Finn and Rey. That's my take on that.
I'm gonna take the seat of James for a second, and I think I want to side with him. That staff she has, I still think it's very possible that she could slap a Kyber crystal in there somehow.
I don't, but it's possible. Are you sold out? Are you done with your predictions? Because I have one more.
I just want to say no Reylo. That's a prediction.
Haven't we said that already?
And maybe I'll say this as well. She's not a Skywalker or a Kenobi.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way. All right, so lastly, I will just puff up my point a little bit, plump up my point on Luke on the Barash vow. You can make the argument that Yoda has taken the Barash vow when he exiles himself to Dagobah, and we know now from the Darth Vader comic that this is what a Jedi does as penance when they've failed, and that's exactly what he says to Bail Organa. I failed. I have into exile. I must go. That sounds exactly like somebody, a Jedi, who is taking the Barash vow, and he goes by himself onto Dagobah and just sits there.
And waits.
So it's the vow is never mentioned by name, and I don't know that it ever will be, except for in that Darth Vader comic. But I think that thing now has a name, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going down with the ship that Luke has taken the Barash vow. His academy got away from him. His nephew, his sister's child, just imploded on his watch, and he can't. And not to mention all his students were slaughtered. It's too much for him to bear. He blames himself. We know that. And he's gone. He has taken the vow, doesn't want to return to the fight. Done. That's my prediction.
I like it.
All right, ads. I hope some of those were bold enough for you. Anybody else out there listening have any cool predictions? We'd love to hear them. All right, so let's see what Bradley has to say this week. Let me get a sip of water too, because you know Bradley and his questions, right? Yeah. All right, here we go. Hi guys, Bradley here with some more riveting Star Wars questions. But first, let me say thanks for knighting me this past week and being considered part of the knighthood of the Commonwealth. Again, I'm truly honored. I'm curious how many of your listeners have been knighted. Who are my fellow knights? So I guess I'll stop there. And well, Bradley, first of all, it's our pleasure to have you as a knight of the Star Wars Commonwealth, and it's a small way for us to show our appreciation for friends and listeners who consistently go out of their way, not only to just listen to our shows. I mean, the time you guys give us is invaluable to us, and it's super gratifying that people dig what we do. But for those who step forward and contribute, so Bradley, as you know, you've been super interactive with us, giving us questions every week for the last little while. Ads has been doing this almost since the beginning. So yeah, I mean, the list is relatively small, but that's what the Knights are for. It's the people that have listened to us for a long time, have contributed to the show, and deserve a little bit of recognition. I mean, it's literally the least we could do is to give a little extra shout out to those friends who really go the extra mile for us. As far as a list goes, I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't know everybody, because every show has its own set of knights. There's a list at StarWarsCommonwealth.com, and it needs a bit of updating. So I guess this might be the point for any other showrunners on the network who are listening now. Let's send Mark our updated list of knights and repopulate that page. Okay, so this is by no means exhaustive, but some names that you might know, Bradley. So Ads was the first knight of the Commonwealth. And Carlos, Dave Donovan, the birthday boy, Mr. Keegan, Stubaka, Connor, and young Mr. Jonas, whose story we can tell another time. And there are others. There are definitely others who deserve mention. But just to expedite this thing, somebody else, if you head over to the latest Talk Star Wars, I think they've knighted somebody right now, today. You'll have to go over to the show to find out who it is, or just keep your eye on Twitter. Corey, did I miss anybody? I'm sure I missed somebody. I'm going to feel terrible for it.
Not that I can think of at the moment, unfortunately.
Are you still awake over there?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
No, I mean, again, the list of knights is slowly growing. It's a select club, but welcome to it, Bradley. And again, it's a thanks more than anything for all the great stuff you've done for us. Right, so Bradley has a second follow-up question here. So do you like the idea of knowing everything we possibly can about our favorite saga? For me, I prefer that some things are left to the imagination. What leads me to this question was your talk about the Millennium Falcon and its presumed speed being confirmed. I always assumed Han claiming the Falcon was the fastest ship in the galaxy was his biased opinion, that it wasn't actually the fastest ship in the galaxy. I guess it's possible it could have been the fastest ship, but assumed that information would never be confirmed, but rather left to imagination. To me, that was the magic of Star Wars. Did you hear that? That was the sound of another childhood bubble being popped. So, Corey, what do you think of ambiguity in Star Wars? Things that we just can't fully confirm one way or the other. Cool, not cool?
Definitely cool to some degree. Like what Bradley was saying, we talked about that, and it was just a trivia fact that we had found, and it's not necessarily, in my opinion anyway, for me personally, I didn't need to know that, and it's kind of irrelevant in the sense that I think it, again, is speed of plot. When you take that into consideration, it just has no bearing whatsoever. Being the fastest ship, I kind of said that again last week in the sense that yes, it could be the fastest ship in the sense that it went from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time. But he did it because he put himself and his crew at a great deal of risk.
Exactly. I think sometimes the fastest ship depends on the pilot and what the pilot can squeeze out of the engines and out of the controls, etc.
Well, I think it being almost like a haphazard, like he basically gets lucky. Like if he flies too close to a star cluster, something that's uncharted, not in the hyperspace maps or something, you know? Like everyone's like, you can't fly that close, because that's what it was in Legends or EU stuff. The Kessel Run was he flew so close to like this cluster of stars or whatever it was that the gravitational field was so strong toward that he shouldn't have technically, like, it's just not within the safe parameters to have been able to pull off. But in the same right, it is the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. I like that, but knowing stuff about Star Wars, yes, there's certain things I want to know, like Yoda's past, his origins. I don't need to know that.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. Don't know,
I
don't
need
care.
to know the certain backstories to certain characters. Don't need to know. Like Boba Fett, to me, very cool character, but really to me, it almost seems like he was just thrown in there and his backstory's cobbled together. It's a big part of the prequels. But in regards to the Force and mysticism and stuff, I do want to know more. And this film is going to take us in that direction a bit, it seems. It seems like we're going to have a whole new bit of understanding about the mysticism behind the Force, and I'm game for that. I don't necessarily want to know it all, and I am game for ambiguity, but there's certain things that, you know, I wish would have been tied a little tighter, a little neater bow, like the prophecy.
I think that one's pretty clear cut. But anyway.
You think that? Yeah.
I do think that because the guy who wrote the story gave us the answer. Clear cut.
The story's not that done being told, man.
His is.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a continuation still. You know,
Yeah,
it's 7.
I know.
It's not.
But look, if Kathleen Kennedy is terrified of editing the old movies, she sure as hell is not going to stomp all over George's story. So that's.
I just don't think they're gonna say it to you in other words. They're not gonna use the chosen one prophecy and blah blah blah, but they're gonna use like balance and, you know, Rey is the focal point of that or whatever. But they won't touch back on the prophecy per se.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I like ambiguity when I like it, and I don't when I don't, which is sort of a weird answer. It's a contradictory answer, but I think there's more instances where I like it than when I don't. For example, like you said, I like that we don't know jack about Yoda's past, and I like that there's some ambiguity relating to Anakin's creation. There's a strong inference that Plagueis was the one that influenced the midichlorians to create life. You could make that case. I wouldn't blame anybody if they said that Anakin's father is essentially Darth Plagueis. We don't know.
That's a big part of it too, and that's a huge thing. Like, again, touching back on the prophecy, is that we've heard so many times the prophecy is actually a Sith prophecy, not necessarily a Jedi prophecy. So,
well, I think the prophecy is sort of neither, but the Sith maybe knew about this prophecy and brought about their own destruction by creating the very person that would destroy them.
Or so they thought.
Or so they thought. We'll see how that plays out. But you know, I like the debate surrounding the title of The Last Jedi. Is it singular? Is it plural? I think that's kind of cool. But what I don't like is the ambiguity surrounding Padme's death. I think there's no need for it. And we get stuck with silliness like she died of a broken heart, which is garbage, in my opinion.
It happens.
Ah, come on. Who dies of a broken...
Have you ever seen The Notebook?
Oh, please. Get out of here with The Notebook. Ugh. The Notebook and Star Wars should never be in the same conversation, unless it's like you're purging your stomach's contents. Ugh.
What about Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher?
Well, You're saying Debbie Reynolds died of a broken heart?
Kind of.
Didn't she have like an aneurysm or something?
But I think they're both related. You know, I don't think she would have had that aneurysm had Carrie not died. Like, it just put extra added pressure and stress on her system.
Maybe. Maybe. But as Padme dying of a broken heart, like, what mother gives birth to twins and is like, yeah, I'm out?
Yeah, they're beautiful, but I'm giving up.
Like, come on. That is totally incongruent with Padme's tenacious nature.
And not only that, it's completely incongruent with the statements from Leia in episode 6.
That she actually remembered her real mother?
Yeah, just bits and pieces. Like, they really should have played that out. Like, she should have at least had them till the age of 1 or 2. And then something happens and she's got to get rid of them. But they definitely should have... Luke and Leia definitely should have spent some time with her. Like,
I mean, I don't mind Padme dying, and you can explain Leia remembering her mother through some Force visions that she just doesn't understand. That is fine with me. But the part where this falls apart is Palpatine knows that Padme dies the minute it happens. Don't forget, like the way George Lucas cut the end of that movie together with Padme dying and Darth Vader. Like, Padme takes her last breath, Darth Vader takes his first. Like, that was very intentionally done. And Palpatine knows. How does he know?
Yeah, he's a pretty powerful dude.
There's a pretty strong theory out there, and it's well argued that Palpatine did it. He's the one that kind of siphoned the life out of her and shoved it into Darth Vader.
You killed her.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense that like a mom would just give up.
Oh, hell no.
So, like, that's stupid. I think that was maybe carelessly done. And that type of ambiguity, I don't think serves the story. Like, I completely reject, 100% reject the broken heart thing. I think it's absolutely stupid and insulting to the character.
I agree with that. And touching back again on the prophecy again, like, the prophecy was just so... You know, it was just thrown in there, like Dave Donovan would say. It was just not thought through properly. Like, if you're gonna throw a prophecy into something like Star Wars, you better make this the foundation of it all. But it just seems it was almost thrown in there for the sake of it. Like, you really you should have had his bases covered there more, instead of expecting the audience to say, "Okay, it's just an ambiguous thing."
Well, I'm not quite sure what that means anyway.
What do you mean?
Like, how is it poorly thought out?
What do you mean?
Well, you said it.
Like the prophecy?
Yeah.
Like, there's no thought put behind it. They don't tackle that subject matter within those films all that much. Like, that's a huge thing. Like, this virgin birth, this chosen one. But it's really just kind of like thrown in there. Like, okay, this is what it is, and that's that. They don't delve into that aspect of the Force.
Well, I think we know what we need to know about the prophecy. Here's a kid that was born with, he's got the highest midi-chlorian count ever. And he's supposed to bring balance to the Force. He has this huge hiccup in the middle where he actually becomes what he was supposed to destroy. But then years down the road, he actually comes correct and fulfills his destiny. Like, we know we know what we...
It just seems so cobbled together. Like, they really should have focused more on that storyline if they wanted to introduce it. It should have been more well thought out, in the sense that it should have been more of a focal point of the story.
I think Star Wars is totally centered on Anakin. It's the rise, fall, and redemption of Anakin. I think we, like, again, they could have done more for it, but I think we know what we need to know. I mean, the movies could have been 3 hours each if you wanted to get into it all. I mean, the prequels are super dense. That's one thing that I think gets lost. Like, there's so much going on in the prequels. Love them or hate them, a lot of stuff happens on like small personal levels and on galactic levels in the background. Like, these movies, like, they're never going to be 3 hours apiece to get all the backstory and fleshing out of prophecies and the mythology. That's just not how it's done. It's kind of given to you in bits and pieces, and the whole ambiguity thing. Let's just talk about it for 35 years. So anyway, there you go, Bradley. A couple hot takes in there. Bradley also had a little bit about how we treat spoilers. I think we've done a decent job of avoiding a lot of them. Like I haven't talked about we haven't leaned too hard on MSW, which is not to critique them or their work. It's more of a choice. I personally would like to go in to The Last Jedi a little bit fresher than I did for The Force Awakens. I was completely spoiled on that. But that being said, I haven't, when we do spoilers, which isn't all that often anymore, they're either Lucasfilm sanctioned reveals, toy leaks, which I obviously aren't sanctioned, but they're not really, again, plot specific. But again, but even when on the rare occasion that we do like a spoiler report, I've not always been super strict about, all right, guys, earmuffs. So that's something I need to do better, because some people might not want to touch spoilers at all. So yeah, I need to make it a point going forward that if we're going to talk about something that might be plot driven for The Last Jedi or Han Solo, and stop me, Corey, if I don't give a proper spoiler warning.
I got you.
And Bradley, also, I gotta say thank you for telling your friends about us, and hopefully they come on board, and that's how we're gonna grow this thing. It's gonna be word of mouth. It's gonna be friends telling other friends that, hey, we know these two boneheads from Canada who do a half decent job of putting together a Star Wars podcast. So thank you, Bradley. Looking forward to more Bradley banter next week. And so now we'll have a little palate cleanser here with Katie, who's got a quick little question for us. And so Katie says, hope you've had a good week. I did. I got a question for the podcast. That's great. If you could introduce another color into the list of lightsaber colors, what color would it be? And what emotion would that represent? This is a tough one, because we have got we're kind of doing the whole rainbow here, aren't we?
Yeah, kinda.
So it was always all about red, green, blue. Those were the standard bearers, and in recent years we got purple, yellow, black for the Darksaber, and white for Ahsoka. Am I missing anything else?
There were hues. The prequels, no, not really. It was, it's red, blue, shades of purple for Jedi anyhow, and red for Sith.
Yeah, I mean, so the big primary colors are now covered, spoken for. Black and white are spoken for. And we could talk all day about shades of green and shades of blue. But is there another color, Corey, that has not yet been lightsaber-fied?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, I was trying to think about it. I looked at the entire color spectrum and different images and whatnot, trying to find something cool. But there's orange. Orange has not really been done, but really seems indicative of the dark side. Again, it's very close to red. It's fire-like, so it seems dark side-ish. The one color that stood out to me, I guess, that I'd like to see as a saber, it's another shade of blue, but it's called blue snow. So it's almost white with kind of just a hue of blue.
Like Matthew McConaughey's teeth in the movie Sahara?
Something like that.
That's like the height of his cheeseball era.
But either way, that would represent empathy to me.
Interesting. Yeah, I had orange, and I don't know what emotion that would represent. Wow.
Passion.
Well, that's red, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Passion,
in the
anger,
fire group.
war, violence. That's all covered under red. You know, peace and tranquility are kind of covered under blue and green.
I see an emerald green as intelligence.
Yeah, I would. Orange is sort of like the last one that I could think of that would make some sense. But I have I have difficulty sort of attaching an emotion to that. How about poise? Is that that's not it? No, that's not it. That's not an emotion. Calm. Wait, what does orange represent? I'm going to look it up. I'm going to drag things out here.
We got the last two that came to my mind for colors anyhow. You look at the whole spectrum, and then, you know, there's two special colors that kind of lend themselves to weaponry anyhow in swords, and it's gold and silver. And
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to see either one of them anyway. But
well, you can argue
you
the
have
silver is, or you could argue the Jedi Temple Guard.
Gold? Had a gold one.
Yeah, you could argue that yellow is actually gold, I suppose.
Yeah. And the silver too. You know, we have the black saber now. We know we have that, the dark saber. So why not have the gray saber or silver saber? It would look regal. It would be not necessarily getting an emotion, but maybe for a prominent figure amongst Jedi or Sith.
Yeah, well, okay, so here's what orange represents: enthusiasm, fascination, happiness, creativity, determination, attraction, success, encouragement, and stimulation.
There you go.
That could be... I could see a Jedi with an orange lightsaber, like a brand new Jedi. So a Jedi who's just so happy to have become a knight and is super proud to be a knight. Maybe Rey is going to be that first person to have an orange lightsaber. What do you think?
I doubt that it would be Rey, but
yeah, I'm not going to put that in my.
Again, it's too conducive of dark side to me. Like, it's too similar.
Well, yeah, it does verge close to red at some points. But what's left? Brown? We're gonna have a brown saber.
Yeah, no brown saber. It was definitely like I molded over because
the poop saber
on the list of colors. Yeah, no, not happening.
What else? What else could there be? The lavender saber. The fuchsia saber. We're starting to split hairs now. If I could do that, I would ask for some, like maybe a darker blue, since I'm biased to blue. I know, but that's an interesting question, Katie. Boy, where are we at? Man, we're moving on here. It's getting late in the game. Jeffrey, sir, you know what? I've got a lot to say about your question, and I want to do it right. So we're going to move this to episode 89, and we're going to do it upright in that one. So, I mean, this episode's been long enough. You guys have given us enough time this week. So I think we're going to call it a day here. Does that sound about right, Corey?
Yeah, definitely sounds about right. And Jeffrey, again, there's some good fodder there. That's a very good question that I can't wait to tackle.
Yeah, I mean, I've got quite a bit to say there. So, yeah, in the interest of and letting you people get on with your days, we will call episode 88 a wrap here. And we'll thank you guys for listening. It's been a lot of fun recording this with you, Corey. I hope it's currently about 1 a.m. and I know you got to go to work tomorrow, so I'm going to let you go too. But
yeah, I'm pretty zonked right now. I can't not say that I'm not feeling it, and yeah, I'm definitely feeling it right now. But it always worth it, every time worth it, just to talk with you, bro, as a brother, and just to hear the interaction from the fans. Never, ever, ever disappointment.
No, this is been a ton of fun. Every week is a ton of fun. So thank you everybody for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Send us your feedback. Thank you, Ads, Bradley, Jeffrey, Katie. Jeffrey, like I said, we're going to definitely hit hard on your question next week, so stick around. Sorry we couldn't get to it this week. Just, we're going long here. Blame Anthony Bresnikan, for God's sakes.
Or just blame me. I'm okay with it, Jeff. It's all good. With a Z.
Yeah, speaking of, Corey, where can people find you on Twitter?
Y'all know you can find me at Chop Rules with a Z.
Excellent. I think I'm still at Tumbling Saber. I'm not sure anymore. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, come check us out. And once again, we're super happy and nervous and full of pins and needles about our Patreon program. If you like what we do, if you want us to do more, if you want to help us, if you want to be that change, be those people to support us, head over to patreon.com/tumblingsaber or just check out the show notes on the site on tumblingsaber.com. It'll lead you there. Or you can hit the menu item at the top of the page, Powerful Friends. Become a powerful friend. Support what we do and get some cool things in return.
Yeah, if we can buy you with gifts and toys, we're okay with that.
Yeah, we want to do more. We want to spoil you guys, and we're going to do our best to do that. So that's it. Thank you again for listening. Have yourselves a great week. I'll be back with Steve, I think, later this week for Journals of the Willing. But for now, I'm out of here. I'm going camping for a couple days. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to unplug for a bit. I may or may not talk to you guys on Twitter, depending on how isolated I am. But I wish you guys a good week. We'll be back later. And thanks again for listening. Ciao.
Watching you walking away from me. Were you watching